and LeBron, all over again. There's shots that Bron didn't want you to shoot, but you shot it anyway.
For sure.
You guys have butted heads before.
Yeah, it's more about defense though. It's never about a shot.
Is it like?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how Bron. That's how Bron can play. What's wrong, Bron? Guess we all don't want to win. What? We play cards and you beat Bron in the hand. He just, I work hard every day. What? Cards. I work hard every day. I get up. I'm in the gym. I dedicate myself. What the are you talking about, Bron? Just say guts or no guts, man. Everything don't require a winning speech. God damn.
This NBA trade deadline's gonna suck, said every single NBA expert, air quotes right there. Welcome back to the Ball Don't Lie podcast. I am Hunter Pitcoff. This is going to be a solo act today here at Innovation Park, but nevertheless, shout out the NBA for giving me something to talk about. This is probably going to be a long podcast. We're going to pretty much be covering the NBA trade deadline. That's pretty much going to be the basis. But of course, I always do my around the association, so we'll get to that right now. Something I kind of enjoyed, it was a lot of fun to kind of watch unfold on Twitter and things of that nature, was the whole Memphis Grizzlies situation, which of course has been resolved, but Dylan Brooks basically said, we don't want Andre Iguodala here. I can't wait for him to get traded. Sure enough, he did. But, of course, Dylan Brooks said that beforehand. Ja Morant basically co-signed that on Twitter. Then Steph Curry came to Andre Iguodala's defense and basically said, or he posted a picture with okay, let me restart this. Steph Curry posted a picture of Iguodala holding the Larry O'Brien trophy. In case you don't know what that is, that's the name of the NBA Finals trophy. Just basically saying, look, you young fellas haven't won anything in the NBA. Andre Iguodala has. Maybe, perhaps, don't be dissing him like that. And then Ja Morant came out of left field posting a picture of Kevin Durant shrugging his shoulders, basically suggesting that Kevin Durant was the reason they won those championships, not Iguodala. And then Ja Morant was also quick to say that Steph Curry was somebody that he indeed looked up to. So it was funny to watch. Ja Morant basically said, like, I ain't scared of nobody. You know, I have much respect for Curry. He also shouted out Klay Thompson as well. But it was interesting to watch. You always love this NBA Twitter stuff. I'm always a big fan of it. And Andre Iguodala did end up getting traded. Of course, we're going to cover the trades a little bit later on in the podcast, because if I covered them all in the beginning, no one's going to watch the entire thing. So just a little teaser for you right there. Some other breaking news that happened. The Knicks fired their president of basketball ops, Steve Mills. They're allegedly going to be replacing him with CAA agent Leon Rose, but I recently just got some more crazy news on my phone from James Dolan, who is the president of the New York Knicks and the New York Rangers. Not very loved in New York, pretty much. He says that he's not selling the Knicks, and he's still actively looking for a president despite early reports. So perhaps it is going to be Leon Rose. They're trying to pull a page out of the Lakers book and hire a guy like with the Lakers there, Rob Pelinka, an agent. Leon, he's been an agent for some big names such as LeBron and Allen Iverson, to name a few. So I have no idea. We'll see if it works. It probably won't, because it's the Knicks. They were pretty busy today, though, during the trade deadline, so didn't really stop them. They still have, they still got Scott Perry there, so he was basically calling all the shots for the most part for New York today. Speaking of something that the Knicks screwed up, Kristaps Porzingis broke his nose against the Grizzlies, which is unfortunate. Probably won't miss that many games, but I, for one, am always excited to see the mask hoopers, if you will. Kobe was always sick when he wore the mask. Kyrie, LeBron. So I guess it'll be fun to see Kristaps as well. Also, shout out Rip Hamilton. He always wore it. So I don't know. Just a little fun fact there. A little injury update, if you will. Speaking of my man Kobe, it was just announced it's about an hour or so before this podcast is being recorded, which is this podcast is 5:21 right now on Thursday. So this is recorded probably about 3 o'clock-ish. The Los Angeles, there will be a memorial in Los Angeles for Kobe and all the victims on February 24th at Staples Center. You figure this was going to come. I'm sure it's going to be quite the event. Also worth noting that Gigi, Kobe Bryant's daughter, just got her jersey retired yesterday at Harbor Day School. That's where she went to school. The whole school, obviously, is mourning still, and they paid tribute to her as well. So good things going there. Also just wanted to shout out the Toronto Raptors. Not, because I don't do that enough on this podcast, give the Raptors love. But they have won 11 games in a row right now, and it does not look like they're slowing down anytime soon. Did not make any moves at the deadline, but nevertheless, they got a squad. And I think that they could be one of those sneaky teams that can cause some problems in the playoffs. I've been saying it. Now, also up here, we got a Damian Lillard Pusha T Adidas shoe collab, apparently inspired by Dame's music. If you go to sneakertaxi.com, that's where I got these pics right here. It basically says DL, which I'm assuming is for Damian Lillard, and then 90, not really sure where that one came from. I was looking at this right now. Oh, I think it's the year he was born. But that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, these shoes are pretty dope, though. I probably won't buy them because I am a college student, and they are probably really expensive. But if I had all the money in the world and I could blow all of it on shoes, I probably would buy them. They're pretty dope. Next up here, the Lakers, who a lot of people are considering losers of the trade deadline, they're expected to basically scope out the buyout market right now. They're apparently going to be giving J.R. Smith an audition. At least it's expected they're going to give him an audition. Perhaps that losing out on a guy like Andre Iguodala, they can get a guy in J.R. Smith who can do a little bit of the same things. And they also remain the favorites to sign Darren Collison if he decides to make a comeback in the NBA, which is looking likely. Next up, I just wanted to give you guys some of the dunk contest or All-Star Game, Saturday All-Star Game event participants, because I did not do that on the last show because it wasn't out yet. But so for the dunk contest, in case you missed it, it's going to be Aaron Gordon, Derek Jones, Pat Connaughton, and Dwight Howard. 3 repeaters on there. Also a unfamiliar face in Pat Connaughton, and he may not look the part, but this guy's a two-sporter, and he got drafted to play baseball. One heck of a basketball player as well for the Milwaukee Bucks. I would be shocked if he takes this one home. I really wouldn't. My money, I'm leaning toward Aaron Gordon. I feel like he's got something to prove, but Pat Connaughton's got hops, so don't you mistake that for sure. Next up, 3-point contest. Always stacked as usual. We got Duncan Robinson, Trae Young, Damian Lillard, Zach LaVine, Devontae Graham. We got Joe Harris, who won it last year, Buddy Hield, and Davis Bertans. It's also worth knowing, though, that the league this year will be adding 2 shots from 6 feet behind the line. Each shot made here is going to be worth 3 points each. I guess it just shows you the range that some of these players have, especially some guys I mentioned like a Trae Young and Damian Lillard. Those guys can just shoot from anywhere, which is pretty insane that we're literally going to be moving further and further back. Maybe there'll be a 4-point line. I don't know. Next up, we got the skills comp. There's always been a combination of guards and bigs. So we got Bam Adebayo in there, Pat Beverly, who actually won it in 2015. Many people probably forgot that. He is also a Chicago native, and if you did not know, the All-Star Game will be in Chicago, so, I guess he'll be playing in front of his home crowd. Spencer Dinwiddie, who won it in 2018, he'll be in it again. Chris Middleton's in it. We got Domantas Sabonis in it, another big guy. Jason Tatum, another big. Pascal Siakam, Jason Tatum, who won it last year, he's also going to be in it again. Derrick Rose, though, who was selected, and of course, as we all know, from Chicago, played for the Chicago Bulls. He opted not to compete. Apparently, it's health-related. He just doesn't want to get hurt, I guess. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really require much. He also, I believe he's won it before, and he's definitely competed in it multiple times. So I would have loved to see him play. I heard rumors saying that he opted out because he was going to get traded. I don't know how true that is because obviously he did not get traded, but also it didn't really sound like he was going to anyway, so I'm not really sure there. And our last podcast, I posted it pretty much right when the All-Star reserves came out, recorded before they came out, so I just wanted to say I went 12 of 14 on my picks. I guess that's pretty good. I missed on Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. Those are probably two of the biggest snubs, most notable names that didn't make it. I didn't have Jason Tatum, which hurt me not to have him in there. But I guess you just had to pull strings there. I just thought Bradley Beal was having such a good season. So I'm not mad with Jason Tatum making it. Chris Paul is a little shocking. Again, the Thunder are winning games. He's been really good this year, so I can't really fault him for making it. He definitely deserved it, but I don't know. I would have went Devin Booker, man. I still would have went D-Book there. Now, next up for our players of the week, before we get into trade deadline stuff, don't worry, we got plenty of that covered here. First off, I want to give it to a guy who I already mentioned today, Kristaps Porzingis. My oh my, once you hear the numbers, if you haven't been seeing him play, they are incredible over these last 7 days. 35 points per game, 12 rebounds, shooting 53.3% from the field, knocking down 90.6% of his foul shots, making 4 threes a game, and making almost 10 free throws a game. If he keeps playing at this level, at least playing at an all-star level with Luka Doncic, do you understand how good the Mavs are going to be? Oh my God. They're going to be so good. This team's going to be literally unstoppable. And you know that they're going to make a move probably in next offseason. They'll probably get some more guys. And I think the Dallas Mavericks could really be contending sooner than later. Next up here, we have another New Yorker that is no longer there. Marcus Morris. Sorry, I'm a little sick. But he, I guess, has his farewell tour in New York, if you will. It was quite breathtaking to watch. I'm just kidding. But he did end on a good note, you can say. Last 7 days, averaging 27 points per game, making 92.9% of his free throw attempts, and making 6.5 a game. So he's getting to the line. He's been aggressive. He's been scoring a lot of points. Obviously, those numbers are going to deflate a bit, considering the fact that he's going to be probably coming off the bench for the Clippers, but he's still going to be really good. He's had a great season, and as much as it hurts me to say this, I got to credit the Clippers. They made a good move for him. Next up, the Suns suck, but DeAndre Ayton's been playing really good, so that's a bright spot for them. He's been a beast over the last 7 days, averaging 21.8 points per game, 12.3 rebounds per game, 2.5 blocks, and let's not forget he was the number 1 pick. Now, granted, did the Suns pass up on Trae Young? Yes. Did they pass up on Luka Doncic? Also, yes. Did they pass up on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Yeah, okay. So they passed up on a lot of guys, but DeAndre Ayton is still a really good player, and I'm confident that he'll eventually find his way, and it seems like he's starting to do so right now. And at the right time, because I always feel like All-Star break is kind of when we really start to see certain players emerge or not, and it's looking like DeAndre Ayton is heading in the right direction. Now, for the part you've all been waiting for, it's time now to break down all this crazy trade drama that's gone on. I don't understand all these NBA experts, not everyone, but most of them were like, it's going to be a quiet deadline, there's not going to be a lot of trades. I call BS on that. I kept saying there was going to be some stuff that went down, even more than I imagined. And there was a lot of player movement because, a lot of people feel like the NBA is wide open right now. And so a lot of the teams that were entering expecting to be sellers were sellers. And a lot of teams, made those big boy moves. Maybe not the one that I perhaps suggest with Kevin Love to the Suns, but nevertheless, we still got some stuff to talk about here, a lot of stuff to talk about here, and we're just kind of going to break down a lot of these big-time trades and just look at all different sides of them and things of that nature. So first, I'm going to go to the one that maybe was one of the most shocking trades, and it was the Minnesota Timberwolves pairing up the top 2 picks in the 2015 NBA draft, best buddies Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell, and then Andrew Wiggins getting dealt in that trade as well, getting a fresh start in the Bay. Okay, so just to break down the logistics, the Warriors ended this trade with Andrew Wiggins, a 2021 top 3 protected first-round pick, but this pick does become unprotected in 2022, and they also get a 2022 second-round pick. The Timberwolves receive, of course, D'Angelo Russell, but they also get Jacob Evans and Omari Spellman thrown in the deal as well. This is a huge win for the Timberwolves. Not only the fact that they just been wanting to get D'Angelo Russell for quite some time, but there was a good chance that Karl Anthony Towns was going to be like, look, I don't want to be here anymore. So not only do they get him an all-star, they get his guy. This is a guy that the Timberwolves have wanted. It's a guy that that Karl-Anthony Towns has wanted. And I think that now that you have a happy Karl-Anthony Towns and you got a really good player in D'Angelo Russell, this is a huge win for the Timberwolves. Now, let's look at the Warriors side of things. I would have loved for them to have at least tried out Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell and eventually maybe even Klay Thompson if it got to that point. I don't think it really would have worked out, though. Andrew Wiggins, I would take D'Angelo Russell in a heartbeat, but he does fit a lot better because when you picture the Warriors completely healthy again, let's go back to 2015 when they won the NBA Finals. And that was, pre-Kevin Durant. This was the first time they won. It was against the first time they played the Cavs. Harrison Barnes was on that team. He played the small forward position. And he wasn't the best. He wasn't no Kevin Durant, but he fit pretty well there. I see Andrew Wiggins kind of filling that role, and this team kind of doing that. But Andrew Wiggins is a much more talented offensive player than Harrison Barnes is. So I'm not necessarily saying that Andrew Wiggins is like the answer. I think he may even be flipped for other assets in the future, but I don't know. I mean, we're going to go over it a little bit later, but I do think the Timberwolves won this trade by a mile. I just feel like I think the Warriors could have gotten a lot more for D'Angelo Russell than they did. Now, next up here is the Clippers. They won the bidding war for Marcus Morris over many teams, including the Lakers. The trade details are consisting of the Clippers, of course, getting Marcus Morris and Isaiah Thomas, but they are expected to release IT, so we'll see where he goes as well. The Knicks got Mo Harkless and a 2020 first-round pick. At least as of now, I have not seen which team gave up the first-round pick. I'm assuming it's the Clippers' own first-round pick. And the Wizards, who are also in this trade as well, they got Jerome Robinson from the Clippers, who didn't really pan out there. We'll see if he pans out for the Wizards. I didn't love him during the draft. I thought the Clippers reached a little bit, but I don't know, maybe having a new star in DC, a young team, he'll play a lot better. Now, of course, like I said, the Lakers, they were unwilling to include Kuzma in the deal, which, of course, strayed the Knicks away. They were really interested in Kyle. Lakers like, you know what? We don't want to give him up. I will say, though, shout out the Clippers for making a big boy move. Their 6-7-man rotation has to be the best in the NBA right now. Marcus Morris is not a joke. He's a great addition to any team. Of course, he's not going to average the numbers he was with the Knicks because they really didn't have much of anything. But he's going to, I think, still bring that toughness on both sides of the ball. He competes at a high level. He's super confident. He's played in playoff games before. This is a great get for the Clippers. I will say this, though, and this is me going on my Laker rant. The Clippers basically got Marcus Morris for nothing. Like, Mo Harkless plays the same position as him. Marcus Morris is just an upgrade. They gave up a first-round pick. I mean, I guess it's going to be a late first-rounder anyway, and it's not like the Clippers typically draft really good. I mean, they drafted Shea, but most of their other picks don't typically work out. And then they gave up Jerome Robinson, who wasn't playing on this team anyway, and it didn't seem like he was going much of anywhere. You want to hear what the freaking Knicks were saying that they wanted from the Lakers? Kyle Kuzma, who's, again, the third leading scorer on the Lakers, probably the third best player on the Lakers. They asked for Danny Green, who's a starter on the Lakers, arguably the best perimeter defender. He's arguably the best three-point shooter on the team, a starter. And they asked for, I believe, I have to look again, double fact check this. They asked for future picks. Lakers go, that's too steep, that's unfair. Knicks are like, okay, fine, we're not doing it. Then the Clippers is like, okay, that's fine. Are you kidding? Like, what is this? Like, I get the Lakers maybe don't have as much to give up, but, like, come on. You gotta be kidding me. That you go look at the Clippers deal and go, that's great. Lakers, you're like, all right, Lakers, this is what you gotta give us. They say no, which they should say no. And then the Knicks are like, okay, we'll accept this deal with the Clippers. Like, what is this? Come on now. That's a joke. Like, people are going to get mad at the Lakers, but, like, I wouldn't accept that deal at all. That they're basically, I'm not going to be the team that gets fleeced by the Knicks. And then it ends up being the Clippers fleecing the Knicks. So, man, I don't know. That's the NBA for you. People just don't like making trades with the Lakers, I guess, but whatever. Now, this was a shocking deal. Andre Drummond, maybe not as shocking that he got moved, but he's going to Cleveland. I was like, what? I was not expecting that. But here's the trade. It's Andre Drummond straight up for John Henson. Brandon Knight making his miraculous comeback with the Detroit Pistons, so you can grab your jerseys out the closet. If you had one, you probably didn't. Hasn't played there in quite some time. And they also got a second-round pick, which may actually be the most valuable asset. Andre Drummond, he was not very happy with the trade at all. I'll see if I can pull that up right now, what he said. Doing this on the fly. He basically just had a tweet that said no loyalty in the NBA and that he did not get a heads up before he got traded to Cleveland. I don't know what's worse, being on the Cavs or being on the Pistons. That's a tough one right now. They may be the two most desperate, sorry teams in the NBA right now. But I guess he doesn't have to move that far. But what do I think of this trade? I actually really like this for the Cavs. They gave up literally nothing. Like, John Henson and Brandon Knight aren't, like, that good anymore. Nor were they... I mean, Brandon Knight was good for a little bit. John Henson was never really much of anything. The second-round pick is the most valuable asset here. So, I just can't believe, like, they could have gotten so much more from so many other teams. Like, I bet you the Hawks were offering more, and I bet, like, the Raptors were offering more. But then, like, the Cavs give you this. They're probably just saying this as, like, a joke. And then, like, Detroit's is like, okay, let's just do that. I just could not believe that the sorry Pistons, like, I guess they wanted to move on from Drummond, which is fine. But I just couldn't believe that they actually accepted this. Like, this kind of reminds me of, like, the Hornets not trading Kemba. And then they ended up with nothing. So I guess the Cavs at least get something. But this is basically nothing. So they could have done way better. There were multiple teams out there that were interested in Andre Drummond. And for a guy who's averaging, I believe, like 17 and 15 this year, he's a very good NBA player, two-time All-Star. I believe he made All-NBA third team once as well. I just couldn't believe that this was the trade that the Pistons were pulling the trigger on. Like, what? That's crazy. Next up, of course, like I alluded to earlier in the show, Andre Iguodala finally got what he want, and he is now a Miami Heat. So the full trade here consists of Andre Iguodala, Jay Crowder, and Solomon Hill going to Miami in exchange for Justice Winslow, Waiters Island, a.k.a. Dion Waiters, and James Johnson going to the Grizzlies. It's honestly amazing how Miami pulled it off. All the people on The Jump, which is the show on ESPN, NBA show, they were saying that it was almost like Jedi mind tricks, if you will, against Memphis because the Heat, it was not looking good for them. They did not really have the cap space. They almost got Danilo Gallinari as well. They almost did a sign trade with him, and they were going to sign him to an extension because he's a free agent from OKC, but they couldn't get the money right enough there. But they were able to at least get Jay Crowder. So they got Iggy and Jay Crowder, two rotation players, two very good players that you know are going to fit seamlessly in the Miami Heat culture. They gave up a guy in Justice Winslow, who of course I love, but, you know, fellow Dookie. But he's missed, I believe, over 150 games in his career already, and he's only in his fifth season. Dion Waiters has been dealing with his issues, and James Johnson's a good rotation player, I guess, but I think the Heat just got a huge upgrade. They somehow pulled off the financials part of things to make this work. They were not looking good. They were looking well over, luxury taxes and stuff like that. It was not looking good, but they were able to match the salaries here. I guess the one positive thing is the gang's back together, being the 2015 National Championship Duke Blue Devils. The Grizzlies also have Grayson Allen and Tyus Jones. Now they got Justice Winslow. Just bring Ja over there as well. You can keep Quinn Cook with the Lakers, but it is pretty funny that all those guys are now back on the same team. And again, like I said before, Dylan Brooks of the Grizzlies, he made comments about Iguodala before. After the trade happened, he said, now we have a player that we're getting that actually wants to play with us and thinks we're good. At the time, it was allegedly just going to be Justice Winslow. That's who he was referring to. But then they included Jay Crowder and Solomon Hill as well. And the Grizzlies are no joke. This is a good team. It was funny that Andre Iguodala was like, I only want to play for a contender, because it was kind of like said, like, look, you're not going to play for us when they made the deal. It was strictly for salary reasons. But then the Grizzlies got good, but Andre Iguodala still said no. And now he's on the Heat, who are definitely contenders. I believe one of the top, I think they're second, third best seed in the Eastern Conference right now. Maybe fourth. But this was a big move from the Miami Heat. They really, the fact that they pulled all this off, they may be the ultimate winners of the trade deadline. Next up here, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. Not the biggest move, but maybe one that was needed. They got Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson III from the Golden State Warriors. They gave up 3 second-round picks, including a 2020 second-round pick from Dallas, a 2021 second-round pick from Denver, and a 2022 second-round pick from the Raptors. Okay. Sorry about that. This is not the flashiest trade in the world, of course, but the Sixers need help off the bench. It's been obvious. Their bench is pretty bad. This whole team is insanely dysfunctional right now. Fans are calling for Brett Brown's head, the head coach. It's not looking good. Alec Burks and Glenn Robinson have been two of the good players on the Warriors this season. Not sure how much of an impact they'll make, but you got to respect the Sixers for at least making some sort of move. And I guess time will tell if this trade really shifts anything in the East. I don't really think it does. I think it'll help, but it's not going to hurt them. They didn't lose anybody. But Alec Burks has always had injury problems staying on the court. And Glenn Robinson III, he's been, I guess like an okay player. He won a dunk contest, though. He did win a dunk contest, but he hasn't been anything all that great as well. Next up here, last but not least, and this was what kind of kicked off the trade deadline, was this huge 4-team NBA trade. Now, I'm going to read this as best as I can, so please keep up with me. We have 4 teams, I believe 12 players, a whole lot of picks. So the Atlanta Hawks got Clint Capella and Nene, who they are going to release Nene, from the Houston Rockets. So Trae Young finally gets that big man. It's a great fit there. Houston gets Robert Covington and Jordan Bell from the Minnesota Timberwolves, as well as Atlanta's 2024 second-round pick, which is from Golden State. The Timberwolves then receive Malik Beasley and Juan Hernangomez from the Denver Nuggets, Evan Turner from the Atlanta Hawks, Jared Vanderbilt from, I think he was also on the Nuggets. Could be wrong about that. Yeah, he's also on the Nuggets. And Atlanta's 2020 first-round pick, which is from Brooklyn, which is also lottery protected. So we'll see if the Nets make the playoffs or not. And then the Nuggets got Shabazz Napier, Keita Bates-Diop, Noah Vonleh from the Timberwolves, Gerald Green from the Rockets, who has not really played this season, and Houston's 2020 first-round pick unprotected. Wow, very, very rarely do we ever see a trade this big with so many moving parts go down during a trade deadline. Very rarely do we see a trade this big. Now, maybe there weren't any superstars traded, but it's a lot of pieces, and it's a lot of talking, a lot of mouths to feed here. So let's kind of break it down. I think Atlanta made out pretty well in this trade. Clint Capella is a very good young player in today's NBA. They really needed a true center. I think he fits with John Collins. He's not the big man that does a little bit of everything, but he's a hustle big man. So he sets great screens. One of the best role big men in basketball. Catches lobs, blocks shots, rebounds the ball, runs the floor. He's a great player. Clint Capella's a great player. He's also pretty young, so his timeline does work pretty well with Trae Young as well. And I can't wait to see those pick and roll actions there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure it's not going to help the Hawks win a whole lot more games because they're just not very good. But it is a step in the right direction. It keeps Trae Young happy, and I think it's a great fit. So got to applaud Atlanta for making that move there. Next up, Houston Rockets. Of course, I like Robert Covington. I actually said, I believe 2 weeks ago on the pod, that Robert Covington, I brought up the idea of him going to the Rockets. I did not think they'd give up Clint Capella, though. Jordan Bell, I guess, can play the 5 at times, but he's also like 6'6". I do not like this trade for Houston. I really don't. I'll go over a little bit why, but basically it's going to be P.J. Tucker on stilts. I don't know if you saw that picture, but P.J. Tucker's about 6'5", and he's pretty much going to be starting at center. That is not very good. So while they definitely needed a 3-and-D guy, they have so many of them already that I think giving up your only big man, probably not worth it. They're going to get beat up by some of the bigger teams in the NBA. Now, looking at the Timberwolves, this trade made a ton of sense. A, they got a lot back, and B, this is a trade that ultimately helped them get D'Angelo Russell. So this was kind of the trade within a trade, or the trade that led to the big one. And they got some good, they got good pieces. They got, potentially a first-round pick if the Nets make the playoffs. So I'm sure the Timberwolves would be really big fans of the Nets for the rest of the season for sure. And then Malik Beasley is a good player, and I think he'd fit very nicely alongside D'Angelo Russell. He's a guard that can kind of get his too, pretty athletic. Juan Hernan-Gomez, I know the Nuggets have always liked him a lot, but he just hasn't gotten a lot of burn. Evan Turner is a good player as well. Yeah, he could definitely run that second unit for sure, especially since they gave up Jeff Teague. Turner can always play some point. They got, 2 Ohio State Buckeyes there with D'Lo and Turner. And Jared Vanderbilt's whatever, I guess, but hasn't really panned out in the NBA. But I thought the Timberwolves made out well here, in this trade specifically, and then it led to D'Angelo Russell, so good job there. And then the Nuggets, obviously, they wanted to move on from Malik Beasley. It was obviously clear as day. So they saved money potentially down the road because they would have had to assign him to extension. Now they don't have to worry about that. Shabazz Napier has been okay this year. Keita Bates-Diop. I don't know if any of these guys really helped them, but at least they got a first-round pick. And they're already pretty deep to begin with, and they didn't really give up much of anything else. So, applaud to Nuggets. They did what they had to do there as well. So, obviously, this was not a dull trade deadline. This is a very exciting one. One of the more exciting ones we've had in quite some time, of course. So, right now, I'm just going to talk about some winners and losers of the trade deadline. Some players, some organizations, things of that nature. So, the first winner, and of course, you don't want me, I don't want to personally say this, but I say the first winner has to be Marcus Morris and the Clippers. I guess Marcus Morris is good. You're not on the Knicks anymore. I think that's automatically a victory. But the Clippers got Marcus Morris without having to give up much. Apparently, the Lakers had to give up the farm to get him, which, again, makes no sense that it's like, oh, well, the Clippers can give up whatever. That's fine. But the Lakers like, oh, you have to give up 2 of your best assets. Like, what the hell? What? Come on. That's ridiculous. But Clippers got it done, and this could be the move that really puts them over the top. Another winner I have is Karl Anthony Towns, and then just the Timberwolves as a whole. They finally got their guy in D'Angelo Russell, and this probably is the move that will convince Karl Anthony Towns to stay. Again, I think D'Angelo Russell is better than Andrew Wiggins, so that's good. They clearly didn't want him. I saw a thing like the Warriors like rolling their eyes when they see Andrew Wiggins has like no work ethic and no drive whatsoever. I feel bad. I kind of dig on Wiggins a little bit, but he's got all the talent in the world. He just really hasn't truly put it all together yet. And it's year 6, so you kind of wonder, like, when's it going to happen, if it is going to happen. And shout out to Gershon Rosas. He is the president of basketball ops for the Timberwolves. I wrote in my notes, shout out for traffic control, basically being able to maneuver that 4-team trade and then setting themselves up to get D'Angelo Russell. I think they really didn't give up that much to get him, in all honesty. I think the Timberwolves 100% won that trade. I also said here one of the losers is the Golden State Warriors because I think, yes, Andrew Wiggins fits in the lineup better, and I explained earlier why. But I do think they could have got more for D'Angelo Russell. I think they should have been a little more patient. And we never really saw how D'Lo and Curry would fit together. I mean, I don't think it would have been great. Offensively it would have been fun, but I guess I do prefer Thompson at the 2 guard and then Wiggins at the 3. than, shifting Klay Thompson to the 3 and I guess having D'Lo at the 2. It would have been awkward 100%, but I don't know. I feel like they at least should have tested it out because I do really think D'Angelo Russell is significantly better than Andrew Wiggins. One of the losers I have is the Houston Rockets and Daryl Morey's trigger finger. Look, again, I love the fit of Robert Covington on the Rockets. He's perfect for that team, so this is not a Rocco diss at all. But you literally don't have a big man. There's no big man on this team. Literally, Isaiah Hartenstein, that's your guy? They really do not have anybody. You know what? I'm literally going to pull up their roster right now. Let's see. Let's see, live. This is on the spot. Just follow this right now. Let's look up Houston Rockets roster, and let's see what possibly comes up right now. Okay, hold on. We are getting there. Oh, the Lakers are playing them tonight. I forgot about that. I will be watching that game. We'll see how that turns out. Okay. They also got Bruno Caboclo. I forgot about that. He's not really much of anything, though. Tyson Chandler, who probably can't play more than 15 minutes a game. Like I said, Isaiah Hartenstein they got. That's literally it. I literally named pretty much all the guys that they have. I don't even know, wow. I guess PJ Tucker's going to be playing center. That's insane. I mean, maybe they'll go for, a Joakim Noah or something. I really don't know. It was a stupid move. I mean, Clint Capella's a good player, and he fit that team really well. I just don't understand. If you're complaining about giving him all the money, you did it. And, oh, man. Daryl Morey, I think you moved too soon on this one, man. When you're playing the Lakers tonight, you realize how big the Lakers are? Do you realize how big, the Clippers are big and physical. They score a lot of paint points. I mean, I guess Mike D'Antoni just doesn't care about defense, so that's fine, I guess. But, man, I also wrote my notes. This is funny. I said, why not make a move for Drummond, seeing what Cleveland gave up for him, which was nothing. I mean, Andre Drummond would have been great. That would have probably been an upgrade from Clint Capella to an extent. That would have been good for the Rockets. But nah, we're going to get Robert Covington and give up our only big man. That's a shame. That is a shame. Oh well. I guess live and die by the 3. Another winner, you can probably laugh at this one. It says Kyle Kuzma. The Lakers clearly believe in him. They were not trading him at all for Marcus Morris. They were extremely refusing the idea of including him in a trade. He is starting to play better recently. He's getting a lot more offensive rebounds. He's been a lot more active. Not that he's playing lazy at all, but he's playing even harder now. And he's starting to kind of find his role a little bit more. And sometimes the best move is no move. Sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And for the fact the Lakers are going to be looking on the buyout market. Kyle Kuzma's really their only, young, talented player they have. I mean, you can say Anthony Davis, but he's been in the league for quite some time. Kyle Kuzma and Alex Caruso, the only two, youthful players that they really have on this team. And I feel like you need those guys. And I think Kyle Kuzma, he's going to keep getting better. He's not afraid of big moments. And, I guess selfishly as a Laker fan, seeing Kuzma keep growing every single year, I'm very happy he's on the team still. Now, I wrote one of the losers here is Kevin Love. He just didn't get traded. He's still on the Cavs, so that's a L. I really don't have much else to say there. I thought the Suns were an option. I thought the Trailblazers were an option, but both those teams were very, very quiet during the deadline. Now, of course, I want to break down the Heat-Grizzlies trade just a little bit more. Got to credit the Heat. I said they were a winner for what they pulled off. Even if they couldn't get Gallinari, that didn't work out. They still got 2 solid rotation players. They may have really, stepped up as the team to beat after the Bucks, arguably. We'll see how good Iggy and Jay Crowder play, but there's just so many different guys that can give it to you on that team, and they're so strong and tough. Not only do I like individually Iguodala and Jay Crowder, but they both fit that team just so well in that culture. So I'm really excited to see how they make it out there. And then for the Grizzlies, when you really think about it, like, they did not get a good return for what they gave up. Like, you probably would say that Iggy and Jay Crowder are the two best players in that deal. And then maybe when everyone's at their best, it's Winslow, but he's always hurt. And then James Johnson, again, he's just a guy, a good, a solid rotation player. But he's kind of fallen out of the rotation a bit in Miami. And then Dion Waiters has been struggling as well. So, I don't know. This trade just didn't make sense for the Grizzlies. I mean, obviously they wanted to get rid of Iguodala, but I think giving up Jay Crowder in the process, I don't know. I don't know if it was really, really worth it. But I guess they weren't going to re-sign Crowder. They were going to let him go somewhere else anyway. So last but not least, I always give my All-NBA teams. This one's a little bit cheating, but this is the trade deadline podcast. We're talking all trades today. So this is going to be the All-NBA trade deadline moves. So this is just, in my opinion, 5 of the most memorable, notable trade deadline moves in NBA history. And most moves, of course, aren't super flashy, but the best of the best moves really are. There's a lot of like all-time great moves that I think people maybe have even forgotten that these moves existed. So the first one here that I wrote has to be Carmelo Anthony going to the Knicks. This was like it was like the Anthony Davis trade, but if it happened during the deadline. They gave you a comparison there because a lot of people thought that Carmelo Anthony was going to be going to the Knicks. I guess it was a matter of when. And it happened to be during the deadline. It was like a couple days before. I remember it like it was yesterday. And this was a 3-team deal. It seems like Timberwolves are in every deal here. And I'm just going to read you off what each team got. So the Knicks, they got Melo, of course. They got Chauncey Billups, Corey Brewer, Ronaldo Balkman, Anthony Carter, and Sheldon Williams. The Timberwolves got Eddie Curry, Anthony Randolph, and a 2015 second-round pick. I do not remember who that second-round pick ended up being. And then the Nuggets got Danilo Gallinari, Raymond Felton, Wilson Chandler, Timothy Mozgov, Kostas Koufis, a 2012 second-round pick, a 2013 second-round pick, and a 2014 first-round pick. I believe that first-round pick ended up... I think that pick was Doug McDermott, and then... No, wait, hold on. I'm trying to get this, remember. I remember there was a trade, it was Yusuf Nurkic and Gary Harris for Doug McDermott, and I believe they took Doug McDermott with that pick and then traded him for Gary Harris and Yusuf Nurkic. So they got even more guys, and of course they traded Nurkic to the Blazers for Mason Plumlee. So this trade clearly was won by the New York Knicks. It wasn't close. The Nuggets were good for a little bit. Danilo Gallinari is still a really good player, but I mean, the Knicks obviously won. It's pretty hard not to win this trade when you're the one that gets the best player. Of course, the Knicks were very underwhelming with Melo, but I don't really think that was his fault. Their organization's just not good. And yeah, this was probably like just the most shocking one, at least I lived through. Well, yeah, this is probably the most shocking one I lived through, just kind of being like, wow, I can't believe this actually happened. Of course, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I'm from New York, and I remember everyone was going crazy over this trade. Now, next one, this one hits home a little bit. It was when the Lakers got Pau Gasol in 2008. This trade 100% led to victories as the Lakers went on to win 2 NBA championships. Pau Gasol, of course, was the right-hand man to none other than the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. It was actually kind of funny. So, Pau Gasol has a younger brother, Marc Gasol, who's still playing in the NBA now. Marc Gasol, unlike Pau, was very underrated. He was just a project, was drafted by the Lakers, and they traded him for Pau Gasol. So both brothers were traded for each other, and Marc Gasol ended up becoming an all-star too. So it's kind of funny, A, that the brothers got traded for each other, and then they both ended up becoming Memphis Grizzlies legends because Pau Gasol was on the Grizzlies, got traded, and then Marc Gasol became a legend on the Grizzlies. And then I think the funniest thing of this whole thing, and look it up on YouTube in case you've never watched it, is Stephen A. Smith ranting about the fact that the Lakers gave up Kwame Brown in this trade. And he was like, they should just have a parade celebrating the fact that Kwame Brown is no longer on the Lakers. Like, it was classic Stephen A. fashion. He always makes fun of Kwame Brown. He's always been kind of the punching bag of a lot of his jokes, especially NBA jokes and being busts and stuff. And that was really funny. And even watching it back today, this trade was in 2008, so this trade was probably at this point 12 years ago. It's still really funny to watch back today because Stephen A. is he's a clown. He's so funny. Now, another one, this trade happened recently, being 2015, was when the Celtics got Isaiah Thomas from the Phoenix Suns. Let's not forget the hell of a run that IT had with Boston. In his 3 seasons, he averaged 24.7 points per game and 6 assists in 179 games wearing the Shamrock Green and white, I guess. He also averaged 28.9 points per game in the 2016-2017 season. And in that season, Isaiah Thomas finished top 5 in MVP voting, which, other than Kevin Garnett, they're the only 2 players on the Boston Celtics who finished top 5 in MVP voting since Larry Bird. So that one, Isaiah Thomas was great for all his whole time in Boston, but that one season was so special, and then, his sister unfortunately died right before the playoffs started, and he still ended up playing, didn't miss a game. He dropped 50 points in one game. It was really quite something to watch. Isaiah Thomas is shorter than I am. He's not very big at all. Not the most athletic guy. But, and I hope the best for him as well, because he seems like a genuine dude. He was the last pick in the 2011 draft. He's made all-star appearances before. And, I hope that he keeps grinding. And, obviously he's not on the Wizards anymore. Now he's on the buyout market. I hope a team picks him up and gives him a chance. Because I know he loves competing, and he deserves to be on an NBA team right now. Now, this next one is kind of funny. I'm sure at the time of the trade, it probably didn't seem that bad. But the Clippers accidentally traded Kyrie Irving to the Cavs. Now, you're probably thinking, that's weird. Kyrie Irving never even played for the Clippers. So, basically, this trade, it was Mo Williams for a first-round pick from the Clippers. And that first-round pick just happened to be the 2011 first overall pick, which ended up being Uncle Drew himself. So, obviously, the Clippers right now, they're fine. They're doing really well. But historically speaking, they're about the Cleveland Browns of the NBA. They just screw up everything. If you look at the long lineage of all the trades and free agency signings and all the misfortune and bad luck this organization has had, it's laughable. It is actually laughable. They traded Mo Williams, who has been an all-star before, a fine player, for a guy who's maybe at some point going to be a Hall of Famer in Kyrie Irving. Oh my God. Imagine his team if they had Kyrie with Kawhi and Paul George, in theory. I mean, no one would even touch this team at all. So, there's your history lesson there, because I'm sure many people probably didn't even realize that that's how the Cavs got the first pick in 2011, is because the Clippers screwed up. Now, last but not least, this was also a really big trade at the deadline. And it was Ray Allen when he got traded from the Bucks to the Sonics. It was a bit of a changing of the guard because Gary Payton was in the trade. And, of course, Gary Payton is considered the greatest Sonic of all time. Now, in their organization, they ended up becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder, so they got Kevin Durant and Westbrook and stuff. But Gary Payton's definitely the best Sonic. But Ray Allen probably had his best years as a Sonic. He was really beloved by Seattle and still is. Made the All-Star game every single season. Averaged 24.6 points per game. And in 296 games played. So, Ray Allen, of course, won a championship with the Celtics. Won a championship with the Heat. And played big roles for both those teams. Again, hit probably one of the biggest shots in NBA history for the Heat in that Game 6. That sent the game into overtime. And then, obviously, it was a huge part of why the Celtics beat my Lakers in 08. But don't worry, we got revenge in 2010. But, obviously, his raw gaudy numbers when he was just the guy was in Milwaukee. but really in Seattle. He was so good in Seattle. This guy was just such a bucket. I don't know if you really remember those, but him and Rashard Lewis were on the team. It's too bad. If they end up getting like KD and then Westbrook and Ray Allen stayed with James Harden, that would have been sick. But nevertheless, I guess it worked out well for both teams at the end of the day. So obviously, that is going to wrap up today's podcast. Appreciate everybody listening as well. There's so much to talk about today. There's going to be so much more to talk about next week as well. We'll be able to see how these trades pan out, how the rest of the NBA is going to look for, entering All-Star break, and we'll see which teams can ramp it up post All-Star break. That's usually when we start seeing the best of the best basketball. That's going to wrap it up here. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Ball Don't Lie, and hopefully I catch you next week.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.